Hi, this is Michael.
And this is Alexandra. We're at the Pacific Union College Library.
And we're actually just looking at some pictures of the Sistine Chapel, both of the roof and the Last Judgment, which were both painted by Michelangelo. The center pictures, which are really the focus of the ceiling, are just beautiful, the way that those colors...
So extravagant.
Even the way he paints the architecture around it.
Now, I heard there's like a storyline throughout the whole entire ceiling process. Can you kind of go into that a little bit?
Right. The ceiling, the central story is taken from Genesis, from the creation all the way to the flood and when Noah gets super smashed. But it's really the creation of Adam which gets the most attention, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably because it's the beauty of the figure, but kind of the symbolism as well. You have Adam sitting there in
kind of like a...
he's twisted up. There's a term for that.
I think it's serpentina.
Yeah, that serpentina style.
Uh-huh.
He's kind of twisted around his axis in a very relaxed look, and he's reaching out, and
Almost
God's just
like
about
lifeless.
to... Yeah, and he's reaching out, and God's just about to touch him on the finger, almost representing that he's giving him life. But it's kind of interesting to think about. He's not really touching him yet. You see Adam kind of sitting there on the earth. That might be symbolism that he's from the earth and he knows of the earth, but since he hasn't been enlightened yet, he might not know anything else. And the absence of this knowledge, it leads to when they were expelled from Eden. If we go to the next image, it's the temptation and expulsion from Eden, where they're tempted by this serpent, and then, on the other side they're leaving. And it's interesting to see that in this picture, and maybe the whole chapel, Michelangelo was maybe referring to Genesis 2:25, which says, "And man and his wife were both naked, and they were not ashamed." That's when God created them. But in this picture, they're ashamed. But the rest of the chapel, everybody's naked and everybody's okay with it.
And as we look at the drama that is being portrayed through this whole entire artistic creation, we've come to see that all the bodies and the paintings of the personnels, each of the characters, their bodies are twisted and extravagant form built. Michelangelo was very, obviously after Michelangelo probably passed away. The next section of the 16th chapel is actually the Last Judgment painting. It was done in about 1534 to 1541.
So much later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And 7 years it took, and it's considered one of the largest frescoes of the 16th century. It's divided into 3 parts, known for his big build, muscular females I'm looking at.
Yeah, they're pretty swole, huh?
Right? And no, it was called the mannerism.
Okay, and he developed that sort of, didn't he?
Yes, this was actually one of the things in the first century art styles, meaning after manneria, which means style.
Well, it's kind of interesting the way he's sculpted these. He painted them, but it feels like he sculpted them almost kind of like a Greek statue.
Yes. One thing that was very interesting of the difference between the ceiling and the Last Judgment is that the different color palette. Mm-hmm. This is more of a lighter, brighter blue.
Yeah, there's a ton of blue in this. Really,
yes.
It makes
and the ceiling, I think, is more darker.
It's a gray. Yeah, it's more like a gray brown, a lot more earthy colors. When this is more of a sky portrait.
Another interesting thing, too, is that the depiction of Christ in the Last Judgment has no beard. And this is taken from Michelangelo's fascination with the early church.
And that the Greek type of sculpture and, kind of making everything perfect. Maybe not making Jesus look so scruffy, but making him look
look
chiseled.
At Jesus. He's built, bro.
No, he works out for sure.
Yes, that's about a 20-pack I see.
Yeah.
Yes, you know what? My favorite part of the whole entire thing is in the corner where, since I think is the man's name, he is one of the peoples that came in and got to see Michelangelo's painting before it was even over, and he had a lot of issues with it, and the theory with that is Michelangelo actually placed Sistine into the underworld figured as naked Minos with donkey ears. Minos' body is twined by a huge snake that is biting off Minos's junk and not in the back trunk. And when Sincina asked the Pope to make Michelangelo remove the image, Paul III replied, "If he had placed you into the purgatory, I would have attempted getting you out of there, but he put you into hell, and my power does not extend that far," which is hilarious.
Yeah, given that, he probably wouldn't have that power.
At all.
But, yeah, I mean, looking down in that hell area, it's amazing the detail that Michelangelo puts. Even though it's kind of fading out into the distance, you can kind of see the devil back there with his little head poking out and the horns, and it's quite frightening, actually. But, I mean, all in all, both are beautiful pieces of art. And
Yes, most definitely. These are definitely my favorite pieces by Michelangelo.
yeah, for sure. Well, until next time.
Adios.